Welcome to 9394, a music podcast with me, Travis Roy. Grateful for your company. All right, let's get into some fun punk rock. I got my buddy Fern back on the show, regular visitor and dear friend. We're here talking about the album Big Choice from the band Face to Face, getting a little outside of 1993, 1994, strictly. Fern's earned that right. This is like his 6th time on or 5th time on or something, so check out our conversation, and again, thanks for listening.
Hello, Travis.
Hello. How's it going, buddy?
What's up, dude?
You doing all right?
Oh, I'm doing great.
That's good. I've been doing a lot of running around today. Just got back from lovely Griffith, Indiana, to visit our buddy Eric Brandstrom and his family.
I've heard of Griffith, Indiana, on a particular podcast that you also part of.
Yeah. You ready to get going?
Let's do it.
Let's fucking do it. Derek, you're back on 93.94. Thank you. Which, how many times have you been on here now?
Let's see. Most recently with Soundgarden.
Mm-hmm.
Did Lagwagon, and I did Helmet.
Okay, so this is your 4th visit.
4? I think this is 4.
Big number 4. And as such, you are, for the first time, no, because Lagwagon's, no, you did Haas, right?
I did Haas.
And that was 95 as well. So this is your second album outside of the proper 93, 94. But I imagine this album was probably recorded in 94 or started, or someone's idea started in 94. Which album are we doing, buddy?
We are doing the album Big Choice by the band Face to Face. So their second, I guess, full-length album.
Yeah.
First on a major label.
Don't talk to me about selling out. I run a record company.
Exactly.
I'm sure that's really whoever.
No, it actually is.
Oh, really?
Somebody that worked for the record company. Yeah, I actually just found that out today earlier because I was kind of bored and I was sitting around and watching, went down a YouTube frickin', pitfall of just, clicking and clicking and clicking. And then, there was one where they were actually talking about this album, the bassist Matt Riddle and Trevor, the singer, were talking about this album for the 25th anniversary, which is a couple years older now.
Yeah.
And but that was pretty much how conversations went, I guess, for that. And we can talk about that later. But there was 2 actual record executives that sat in on that little skit they did.
That's so funny. Disconnected is actually the song that got me into them. That was I saw the video, I think, on 120 Minutes or something like that. Do you remember how you got into them?
Well, I do. And I think on a previous episode, probably for Haas, I mentioned that you had actually given me this album to borrow one day.
Yeah.
You're like, right. Oh, you like Offspring and you like Green Day, the stuff that's a little more quote unquote radio friendly at the moment or whatever, that was getting blown up thanks to, Nirvana's Nevermind. And you handed me this album first, but it was actually not the first time I heard them. And I don't know if this has been talked too much on your podcast for this, but back in the day, in the early 90s to mid 90s, I got into a lot of music and heard of a lot of new genres and things like that because of skateboard videos.
Sure.
Because I was a big skateboarder, and I remember hanging out with our mutual friend Nick a lot
Nick
in
Charette.
those days.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a year younger than us, but there was, I think it was a 411 like video magazine episode that we had, and we just watched incessantly. Like we would sit down and watch him, and then like go out into his driveway and skate, and then come back in and do it again. And he went out and bought "Don't Turn Away" because I can't remember what song it was. It might have even been Disconnected.
The original Disconnected.
Yeah, because it was on that album. And we would bounce back and forth between skateboarding in real life, watching skateboarding, or listening to "Don't Turn Away."
Yeah.
So, like, I knew of Face to Face when you handed me the album, but that was kind of what solidified my love for that band.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm glad I could help you in that department. This album actually served a really big role in my life, particularly in getting into punk rock. The first punk rock album I ever got was actually Somewhere Between Heaven and Hell by Social D, and I got that like in 92, but it was like, I was so young that I didn't even understand it was punk. I just thought like, it's alternative. You know, I just like, didn't even register.
Right. Yeah.
And then I was playing in bands with, not you quite yet, but I was playing in a band with our friend Andrew Johnson and Keith Coomer. But I was really into alternative and indie and all this stuff. And I was playing that kind of music with our friends. And like slowly, our friends were getting more and more into punk. Morgan Peak joined the band, and you had yet to join the band, but you would very soon after. And it would become a band called Punk Like Urson, you know, so very much a punk band. But before that, I was like so resistant because my brother was really into punk rock, and like he was into early Bad Religion and early Lagwagon and stuff like that. And it just felt like it's funny, like I felt kind of like I was getting dragged into this genre that I liked, but it was getting like myopic. I'm like, I don't want to just listen to punk, you know? And I was like, and I didn't want to be like in a punk band. I wanted to be like an alternative band that could like maybe play punk, but like play a little bit of everything, you know?
Yeah.
And I just couldn't quite connect to like a lot of the punk albums that my friends were getting into. Like, you know, my friends were getting into Propagandhi and a lot of stuff like that. And I was just like, and Pulley and stuff that I just wasn't connecting with. And then I heard Disconnected, and I got this CD, and it was all over because like this is so melodic. And that was what I really needed. That's partly why I got so into Lagwagon and stuff later. I really needed that that union between melody and like aggressive punk rock. And this really was like the first punk rock album that wasn't something that my friends liked and I got into, or that my brother liked and I got into. It was the first one that was like mine, and I felt like a real sense of ownership for it.
Well, and this album in particular, I feel like has a ton of those pop sensibilities, right? I mean,
yeah,
Trevor is an amazing songwriter, and I guess, you know, him and Matt Riddle, the bassist for this album, which was, I guess, his last album with the band before he moved on to other things like No Use for Name and stuff like that. But they were the main songwriters for this album, but they had huge pop sensibility, you know? So all the songs are, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're faster, but I don't know. This is something that kind of dawned on me recently as I was, you know, gearing up for this episode and listened to it like a ton. I don't think there's a single song on this album that's written in a minor key. I think everything is major.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Right. So that's pop rock, you know, 101, you know, make it happy.
But it's not pop punk, right? Like it's just
no,
not.
No,
like it's not like
it's not.
It's not Screeching Weasel. It's not like something like that.
It's not Green Day,
right?
Like really, which is weird to me too to think about. Like I'm surprised that this album, like being their first on a major label, didn't really blow up like Smash did.
Yeah,
by The Offspring,
or
which
Dude
was
Ranch.
the same producer for that matter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or Dude Ranch, yeah, or Dookie by Green Day. And I think the whole Nirvana Nevermind thing kind of blew up the whole rock universe.
Yeah. And then Blink and Green Day really kicked off the...
Yeah.
And you're right, Offspring, the three of them really like dragged punk into the mainstream.
Yeah, for sure. But it's a pop album. It's a punk rock pop album. It's not pop punk necessarily,
It's a fine line.
Yeah, it really is.
But they're doing something just a little bit different, but it's also super accessible.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny you mentioned Social D. Like I always kind of put those two bands, like Face to Face and Social D, in kind of the same similar category where there's a little rockabilly edge to it also.
I don't hear the rockabilly in Face to Face. Where do you hear rockabilly? I'm not disagreeing. I
think it's the way that it's like the guitars are strummed. Because if you really slowed them down, like maybe to like a third of the tempo, and like that do 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 do, but then you speed it up and it's like I don't know. I think of like that like that particular like that forbidden beat, so to speak, of punk rock was a different vein than Face to Face was, like where they strummed super fast, where those bands kind of didn't necessarily.
Right.
So I don't know. It might have just been one of those weird things that in my mind I made the connection that, this is all subjective, right? So,
absolutely.
Because as far as like straight up rockabilly, not really, but
maybe some influence there.
Yeah. 14 to 15, 16-year-old Derek thought maybe there was some kind of connection, and I drew that comparison for some reason. But I loved Face to Face. Never really got into Social D.
What is 44-year-old Derek drinking today? Is that apple cider? What are you drinking?
No, it's a hazy IPA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've heard of beer, but you're drinking it out of like one of those can glasses.
Can glasses, yeah.
Yeah, a can glass. Fancy.
Yeah. Oh, well, okay.
Can you pick your favorite song on this album?
I have to tell you, I had a really hard time with this one too.
Yeah, me too.
Like so hard. Because honestly, from track 1 all the way through Disconnected, which is, I guess, technically like a hidden track, so to speak, because they
that and Bikeage,
gave you the 20 seconds of pause before they went into their little skit that they did to talk about how they were sellouts and all that.
Yeah, and it says bonus tracks in parentheses, but we can consider those two songs as part of the original album for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they were on the album, they were on the CD, so yeah, but it was really hard because I remember like before I got into it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be the song or that's going to be the song. And then as I'm listening to it, I'm like, oh, no, this is the one. But then like a track or two later, I'm like, wait, no, maybe this is
I did
my
the same
favorite
thing. Yeah.
And it was so freaking hard. But eventually, the reason that I'm going to tell you what that song is and why it became what I'm going to say is my favorite today is because I woke up one morning after listening to the album like incessantly over the last week or week and a half that A-OK is my top pick. Because I woke up one morning and it was just stuck in my head and it was literally all day. Like I couldn't get it out. It was just stuck there. And I'm like, why is that? So I dived into it a little more and I'm like, it's just a damn solid, fine ass track. Like it's just so good. The lyrics, I mean, we've talked a little bit about us, becoming emo kids a little bit after, our punk phase and, I'm okay, I'm not okay kind of thing, which I kind of feel like maybe My Chemical Romance stole at some point, or at least piggybacked on the idea, which, is not necessarily super unique. But when I first heard that, I was an angsty teenager and that song sticks with me. Like, you're okay and you're not okay. Sometimes you're both. Sometimes you're fluctuating between the two. It depends on the moment. So, and it's just such a freaking good song. Like, it's just solid.
It really is. I did a similar thing where I just like almost every song, I just was like, this is it. No, this is it. No, this is it. But I had to go back to my all-time favorite since I was a kid, and it's A-OK as well. That's my favorite song of this album as well. It's just so fucking good.
It is.
And I did have a little bit more appreciation for the lyrical content as an adult now listening to it, because I really hadn't listened to this album in a really long time. I'm glad you chose it, because it's probably been, I don't know, 5-10 years since I sat down with it.
In its entirety.
Yeah. I hear like a song here and there, but in its entirety, like spent some time with it. It'd been a while. Yeah. And listening to the lyrics of A-OK, it's not just how fucking catchy and awesome it is, but it really makes me think of like that checking on your strong friends kind of idea. Like the idea that the people that we assign, like this dude's fine, like this dude's stalwart, this person is A-OK. Those are the people often that are best at putting up that face and often need the most checking in and will try and be who they think their friends and family need them to be. And it just like puts all this extra pressure on them. And that's just like, it's something that I think is really understood now. And like we talk about, and it's like a thing, but I don't really remember people talking about it back then the same way. And I certainly don't remember a lot of punk songs getting into that level of mental health check-ins. It's fucking great.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, you think I'm invincible. Yeah. I mean, it just starts right off, you know, because everyone's probably looking at him and he's, you know, looking like he's on top of the world, but we all have our internal struggles, right?
Yeah, exactly. And just because you're good at putting up that face doesn't mean that you're actually all right inside, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song. It really is.
It is.
Yeah, and I did the same thing. It was really hard to choose, but at the end of the day, I had to be like, yeah, okay, it's still A-OK.
Well, and that was the thing for me, too. It's like, I loved that song when I was a kid. And it was just one of those ones that I probably threw on a couple of mix CDs that I created back in the day of, you know, my favorite punk tracks by my favorite albums, by my favorite bands. But yeah, just keep coming back to it.
And that outro, like, I just want to fucking
killer song.
I just want to fucking get in a circle.
Yeah, he starts to scream there.
I want to throw windmills and get in a fucking circle.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, even a 44-year-old Derek thinks that might be a good idea at the moment.
I do want to talk about my second choice, which I don't usually do, but this album is really solid. I won't get into it now. I'll wait and see what else you have to talk about in case you bring it up. But yeah, this is an album that I've been sleeping on. It's an underrated album. It really is in my life and just generally speaking. But, of course, there is probably a song on here, and I bet we both think it's the same one again, that maybe is our least favorite. Do you have a least favorite on here?
I do, but it was kind of a toss-up for me. So we're including the bonus tracks, right?
Oh, I made 100% sure that we were including the bonus tracks.
and I feel like you did that on purpose.
Well, it's also accurate. It's also accurate.
No, it is.
They really were on there.
It was part of the initial release, right?
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to have to go with Bikeage.
Me too.
I don't think it was necessary to put on there.
I don't even
at the end
understand.
Of the day.
Like, you got Disconnected and Late. Like, you got these two songs that are such...
Late, we'll talk about Late in a second, but yeah, I mean, it's such a solid album, and then you throw on this cover of a Descendants song, which is good. I mean, It's great. I like the original too. It's really good.
I guess it's not great.
Kind of give your own face-to-face flair, but it seems kind of sloppy and really just tacked on, right?
It does. It feels unnecessary, especially with a pretty jam-packed full album. It just seems like, you could have put this on the B-side of something. You didn't really have to put this on there. Right. And if you were going to put it on there, like, why'd you make this the one that we would walk out on? It just seems like there's other stronger stuff they could have gone with, especially since they had disconnected right there. It just seems silly.
I 100% agree. I don't think it was necessary, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like in the 90s, people took swings and sometimes they missed more than they do now. Because, I mean, how many albums do you listen to now where it's a band that come out and you're like, oh, sweet, I can't wait for this new album. Like, and it's really solid and it's 10 tracks long, right? Mm-hmm. There is no flub, there is no excess, whatever. And I feel like Bikeage is really just kind of a tacked on, we can, so we will kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a secret track, no stakes, no one's even really going to hear it, but it's like, yeah, we are. It's fucking listed even on the back of the album.
Right, yeah. Maybe put it on like your next EP or something.
Right. Yeah. But you said that you were, it was kind of a toss-up between this and another song, so I'm curious, what's the other one?
So there is one of their originals that, as I was listening to it, I kind of thought about it from their original song's perspective, and I say Promises was kind of my, like, of their originals where I'm just kind of like, don't skip it.
No,
but
I like Promises.
Going back to it, just, I don't know, that one line where opportunity is free. I'm just kind of like, oh, okay. I don't know. Just that one line too. That's literally it. Like, everything else about the song is great, but opportunity is free.
But it's funny because I feel like that line and its delivery does a lot of work in that song, because you listen to the lyrics of that song and you could approach it like maybe they're talking about a relationship, like an ex or like a friend that's like a toxic relationship or something like that. But you get to that line and the one before it, and like, it's a political song.
Yeah. Well, and that line is not bad. The opportunity is free as long as you have enough to pay. I mean, that's a hell of a line.
Yeah, he's critiquing capitalism, and he's doing kind of a game show host thing there, trying to mock it. So I totally get what he's doing there. But then he's doing this thing where he says throughout the song, that's not the meaning of equality. And at the last one, I'm ready for him to say, that's not the meaning of democracy. But instead he says velocity, which is a completely different song.
Right.
And I'm like, did they fucking change the lyric from democracy? I swear to God, it should have been like democracy or at least equality again.
Yeah.
Because if that one word was democracy, which it feels like it should be, then it's like clear, cut and dried, a very political song.
God, you're right. It does throw me off too.
You change that into velocity or keep it as equality, and it can be about like relationships or something much more interpretive.
That's a good point.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel like that.
Absolutely. Well, and in the mid-90s, I mean, who is really afraid to be that political? I mean, people I think are more afraid now than they were in the mid-90s. I mean, was it like a major label thing? Like, ooh, I don't know.
I doubt that. I feel like more, I mean, this is pure speculation on my part, but I feel like I don't know them to have any other political songs. At least they have a lot of albums I did not listen to. I mean, I checked out after the self-titled, to be honest.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a big gap there.
Yeah, but those first three albums, I don't really, off the top of my head, remember anything particularly political. So maybe they kind of just didn't want to be. I don't know. Again,
maybe not.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he's always kind of singing about like being a human being and having relationships.
It's very emo. I mean, like, honestly, there's a lot of fucking emo content here.
Very human. You know, like, there's some kind of skirting around the issue, but there's no like super heavy metaphors, you know, like some of the other
it's pretty straightforward.
He's very straightforward, and I feel like pretty much anybody could interpret his lyrics in a very similar way that would be appropriate for their lives and the relationships that they have, as opposed to some where, you know, you can apply it to one situation but maybe not another because it's so steeped in metaphor and but he's really straightforward and singing about himself and people
you
close to him.
And you
and you
and you. All right, let's talk underrated.
Okay.
I feel like you may have tipped your hand a little bit. Do you have an underrated track on here?
I freaking did. It's late. Late is so good, man. It's so good. It's so fast.
Yeah.
But it's, in my opinion, it has the most dynamics of any song on the album as far as like the music goes. I mean, it speeds up, it slows down, it kind of breaks it down, and it gets it quiet, and it has those like AM recording kind of things to throw you off a little bit when the bass comes in with the chords. And I mean, it's such a powerful, kick-ass song, like from start to finish. Got the feedback at the end, you know, the dynamics, man, like the stops and then like it comes back, and just everything about the song Late, just it's so good. And I feel like that's one of those songs from their earlier albums that they probably don't play that much live because it wasn't one of the quote unquote hits or one of the quote unquote fan favorites, but god damn, is it a good song.
It was for me. I didn't pick it as underrated because it was the other song I was debating between that and A-OK. It's always been one of my favorites on the album, so I didn't want to pick it, but it is, like, I 100% agree. It's a fucking amazing song. It's really powerful.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially that ending, you know, like the stops and like the way his voice is so crisp and carrying through it. Yeah, it's a really powerful, meaningful song, even though I don't 100% know what the fuck he's talking about. I feel like, especially as a 15-year-old, I was able to be like, I don't want to be late, man. I don't want it. But I had this weird thought, and I don't know if this is me up my ass, and like, or if I'm getting like my punk rock like quotes mixed up. But am I crazy, or did the AM, like what's going on in that AM spot? Did that change? Is that different on Spotify than it was on the CD? Because I swear, didn't he say like, no, the average person wants this. The average person wants this. Isn't that what it used to be? Or is that a different song entirely by like a different band? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't. But... I
thought it started with no. The average person, I swear to God. But then I'm listening to it now, I'm like, that didn't come. Like, where did I hear that? That's from some fucking punk song.
Well, there's a possibility that maybe with the remastering, they might have changed that.
That's what I was wondering, if you noticed.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, I'm not sure. I just know that like some of the things that I was going down the YouTube black hole today was that Trevor, the lead vocalist and guitarist, was talking about how at one point he wanted to have like a phone conversation recorded on one of the tracks, but I guess he was dissuaded from that idea because it was quote unquote cliche at the moment. A lot of other bands were doing it. So he recorded some AM stuff, but yeah, I don't know.
Do you have the original CD still?
Yes, but I have honestly, literally right now, no way to listen to it. I don't
Oh.
even have a CD player in the vehicle I drive every day anymore.
Well, listeners, if you know, please let me know. Or if you know what song I'm thinking of, 'cause I swear there's some fucking punk song, and maybe it's like Strung Out or something, but that starts off with no, 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 no. And then something's muddled, and it says the average person wants this, the average person. And I just didn't hear it that time. So I really wonder, but maybe I'm on my own ass here. I don't know. But yeah, fucking great song.
Dude, it's so good.
I didn't pick it as my underrated, though, like I said.
So what's yours then? What do you got?
I went with a song that I've literally been underrating, particularly because of its placement. Because you put this album on, and the first couple songs, man, they're really good. They're just like good, straightforward punk rock songs. And then Sensible kicks in. That intro is like, okay, we're going to shift gears here a little bit. We're going to show you some real melody, something really pretty. And then we're going to kick it into this high gear and still have like that chanting kind of like, makes no sense to me. And, you know, just the fucking stops and the breaks. And so my underrated is Sensible, which I really struggled. Almost every fucking song I was like, well, maybe that one. Oh, maybe that one's underrated. They're all pretty underrated. But I'm going to have to go with Sensible. And because of it feels like, okay, we cleared our throat with these first couple songs that are pretty good. But now, like, get a load of this.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, that intro is killer. That was one of the songs that almost sucked me into saying that was my favorite track too.
Really
just
good.
Because, like, as soon as it starts, I'm like, oh yeah, yep, I know this one. This is definitely one I'm going to know every lyric to. I'm going to be that guy that's obnoxiously, drunkenly singing in the crowd, like grabbing some stranger next to me who seems to know the same lyrics and just yell in his face.
I could really channel my 15-year-old angst with that one. Like,
absolutely.
It takes me right back. Like, I don't know what I'm upset about, but something upsets me. It makes no sense to me.
It makes no sense to me.
The fucking drums in that song. Oh, God, so good. So good.
Yeah, I feel like their drummer's underrated.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Like, he has some of those, like, tom beats that are, like, halftime feel where he's really getting into those and, hitting those cymbals and the toms. And
it's so clear. Like, everything he's doing, there's no muddle. It's not, like, sloppy, like, punk guy trying to, like, get as fast as he can. There's, like, real precision here.
Yeah, he's on point.
And he works really good with the bassist, Matt Riddle, too. Like, there's a great rhythm section going on this album.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, like, Big Choice is probably my second favorite Face-to-Face album. Like, their self-title, it is just, I mean, that's when, Matt Riddle left the band prior to the recording of that. So it was mostly just Trevor on writing. But the rhythm section, as you said, is on point on this album.
Oh, very.
Which is weird because I just found out today by, again, going down that YouTube hole, is that they recorded this album in 2 weeks.
What?
Yes. And this is a major label, but I'm guessing that from what I heard, Tom Wilson, who was the producer, he was coming off of Offspring Smash, which technically, I guess, was the largest grossing punk rock album on a minor label because it was on Epitaph.
Yeah.
But he recorded that album and it blew up out of nowhere to just completely demolish the whole entire punk world. And the major label was like, oh, well, let's get that guy because he knows this genre and whatever.
Makes sense.
But I guess for poor Face-to-Face, they were kind of squished in the middle of the recording of that and then the producer going out on tour with the Offspring.
Oh, so they had like limited time to do it.
Yes. 2 weeks. Like
that's most
major label.
Wow.
2 weeks. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, like we talked about it on the previous episode with, the Epitaph kind of thing with Ryan Green and how he recorded everything in like a week to 2 weeks because they didn't have a whole lot of money. But this is a major label. Like, you feel like they
surprising.
Had some money, right? Yeah. Like you could have recorded it in 4 weeks or 6 weeks. But yeah, they did it in 2 weeks and just busted it out. He could go on to his next thing.
Yeah, that really says volumes about how prepared these guys were then, because they must have like released Don't Turn Away and then toured for that, I'm guessing, and just written a lot of this stuff and like we're just fucking ready. This stuff does not come across at all like it was written in the studio or anything like that. Like a lot of albums are.
Yeah, and I don't think it was.
Yeah, this comes across like something that they were really comfortable with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're professionals.
Yeah, they're pros. They're pros.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they went from Don't Turn Away, but the first release they actually had on the major label was Over It. So that was the first thing that they did on the major label. And I guess they wanted to like feel like they had to like prove themselves to the major label, like, yeah, we can do it, and kind of feeling each other out from a band and a label kind of standpoint. Yeah, but at the end of the day, they just kind of through somebody, they're like, oh, this guy knows, quote unquote punk rock. So let's kind of get him in there to make this happen. And we'll just kind of shove it in there the 2 weeks that he has available in his schedule.
And it was on what? A&M. Correct. Victory actually originally.
Victory, yeah.
And then A&M, which is the same thing basically.
Yeah, not the Victory records that you think of.
Yeah. Not the like punk rock Victory records. It was like some Japanese thing
and stuff. Yeah, later. Yeah,
different Victory.
Subsidiary of A&M. A major. Yeah,
which that polish works for them in a lot of ways. At that time, I was like rejecting a lot of punk bands that came across too polished,
right?
Unless it was Ryan Green.
Yeah, right.
then it worked. But a lot of that stuff that started coming out on major labels, I was like, there's no grit to it. But it really worked for this album for sure.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Like, I don't think it's perfect. It's not like it is now where, oh, you were a little late on this, so let's go in and punch it in and make it perfect. Like there's no computers in 95 to make an album pristine and perfect. Like there's still so much feeling and like just a real band playing real music on this album. And
just being tight as fuck.
For sure. And I don't think it would have been any better, honestly, like in hindsight. In 95, if they would have had 4 to 6 weeks to make this as opposed to 2.
Maybe it worked for them to have that kind of energy, that kind of like, let's just fucking belt this out.
Yeah, you're under pressure. You have these songs, bring them in and make them right.
Yeah.
And they did. It's a hell of an album, like front to back.
They nailed it.
Like there's not really any crappy songs. I mean, Promises may be my least favorite, but I don't skip it.
Crappy would be a stretch.
Yeah, there is no crappy songs. There's no bad songs. They're all good songs.
Yeah, I mean, literally every single song is a good song. Even Bike.
For sure.
I'll even give Bike.
Even Bike. It's a good cover.
Yeah. I know you've seen him live, right?
Oh yeah, multiple times. Yep.
Has it been a while, or have you seen him recently?
Well, the last time I saw them was probably in 2019.
That's not too long ago.
No, and prior to that, I saw him with my wife, Emily, and we're kind of disappointed. Like, we didn't feel like they were that great. They opened up for, it might have been a co-headline with Strung Out, and I don't know what it was. They just weren't as energetic, or
they're becoming old men. They're
or maybe it was an off night.
Yeah.
I mean, I can be an old man, and I'm sometimes on and I'm sometimes not. And for whatever reason, I feel like they just kind of weren't that on, or maybe they played too many of their newer songs that I'm like, I don't,
just didn't blow you away.
Don't know it, yeah. But in 2019, I did see them also with Lagwagon. That was the last time, and they were phenomenal.
That's a really cool lineup, the two of them.
Oh, it was unreal. It was unreal.
That's awesome.
Recently, they did, I think it was their first 3 albums, 3 nights in a row at the Stanley Hotel in
That's cool.
Estes Park, close to here.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, where like, you know, the setting of The Shining was based on, you know, Stephen King's books. So I really wanted to go because the first night was Don't Turn Away. Second night was Big Choice, and the third night was their self-titled album.
Wow.
They played them in full,
wow.
and then played, you know, extra after that. There was no openers. So cool. It was just them at this hotel in the middle of nowhere in the mountains in Colorado.
Wow.
We couldn't make it for whatever reason, you know, like it's hard with kids. You know?
Sure.
You're like, hey, will you take our kids for overnight? And no, we will not. Okay, well then I guess we're not going to that concert. But
right.
So, like in hindsight, I really wish we could have made either the Big Choice or the self-titled night. Those were the two that we were really hoping for, that we could find time to go to one. So I missed that, and I have a friend that went and said it was amazing, of course.
I'm really hoping that next year in 2024 that they tour and support a Big Choice again. That would be a cool thing for them to do. No, it seems like it's happening a lot more and more lately, so I wouldn't be surprised if it did. I hope so.
I'd say that.
I know I've seen them once, maybe twice, maybe even 3 times. Once for sure. The most recent time I think I saw them was like 2011 or so. I'm pretty sure I saw them open up for Strung Out, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
My memory of seeing them the first time, like I have like no recollection of actually seeing them either time. I remember like hanging out at a bar with some friends before the show that time, and then the events that took place before we saw them in 1996 or so. Our friend Mike Govier's stepbrother at the time, you may have heard this story before. I don't think you were there. You may have been, because by that point we were in Punk Like Urson together. Were you there when we had the rented limo and drove us out to Detroit in the rented limo? No, you don't know that story? It was...
I do not. Please share.
It was a lot of us, our friend Mike and our friend Brandon Harvey, who was in Punk Like Urson with us, dearly departed. Mm-hmm. And Keith Coomer, and I think Morgan, some other people, I can't remember off the top of my head, but we got our hands, probably from the same fucking guy that was driving the limo, we got our hands on at least a fifth, maybe 2/5 of Aftershock, which is a 16-year-old. Aftershock was like candy, you know, you gotta you gotta chip the sugar crystals out because that's what the real alcohol is, you know. But we took the limo there and we got really shit-faced, like really, really, really drunk, and Brandon was like throwing up all over himself and couldn't stand up and all this shit.
Oh god.
We found him in the basement bathroom of St. Andrews, like back in the day, like just hugging one of those disgusting toilets down there, just wrapped around it. And just when we found him, one of the bouncers found him and kicked him out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they find this 16-year-old wasted kid and like, well, what should we do with him? Let's put him out in the streets of Detroit by himself before cell phones exist. And that's what they did. This poor kid just wandered around the streets of Detroit. Govier was able to like get out and run around looking for him. I don't remember if he actually found him or not, but basically like somehow he came back and someone else at the venue was like, we can't have this child wandering the streets of Detroit in the middle of the night. We let him back in the show. He's at least, you know, safe. So they let him back in, thank God. But I just remember him like telling everyone his middle name, which was Eugene. Mm-hmm. And like I remember him telling everybody his middle name. And I remember the bouncer being like, oh, Eugene, I knew you weren't going to make it.
Oh my god.
It was a very, very memorable experience. I think we were so drunk we sat down for Face to Face in the middle of the fucking venue.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, as you say that, I do remember some of those talking points of like trying to find him, like he's gone, where is he?
Yeah.
And Govier trying to find him. I do remember. Unfortunately, I missed that one. Well, maybe fortunately, because I probably would have been there right there with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have some bad stories with too much liquor back in those days.
Yeah, we did not know how to handle our liquor in those days.
No, we
the
did
general
not.
thinking when I was like 15, 16 years old and drinking was like, if it's a bottle, you drink the bottle, right? Like you're supposed to drink the whole bottle, just like you would like a bottle of Pepsi or something.
It's gone. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Silliness. All right. Anything else you want to say about Face to Face or Big Choice?
I guess I do kind of want to talk about the skit and like what's covered in the skit. We don't want to be sellouts. And at 44, so far removed from those times, it's just funny looking back on it. And that was the thought process for a lot of us guys and gals that listened to punk rock was, oh, they're on a major label now. They sold out. Like, I mean, even like Bad Religion sold out at one point, right? And they were like, you know, one of the bands that brought forth the third wave of the new school punk rock that, we listened to in the 90s. So like every band was selling out and like that was such a big thing. But looking back on it, it's just so stupid.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like there were some bands that I didn't listen to that now I probably do because I realize how stupid that mentality was. Like, who cares if they're on a major label or not, right? Right.
I don't want the bands I listen to be able to afford rent.
Right. That's so dumb. That's so dumb.
But we didn't understand. We did not understand. Like, our thinking was like, oh, you're in a touring band? Like, you must be rich. Right. I mean, that was pretty much our thought anyways. Like, you must already be like, you don't need that money.
Right.
Like, we did not get it at all. And our thought was if you signed to something like A&M, then you were definitely like a millionaire, was like our thinking, right? So like, we did not get it. We didn't understand.
No, not at all. And I think putting Disconnected on this album is perfect. They might now not have wanted to do it because of certain reasons that are discussed in that little skit they do of, fans thinking they sold out or whatever, but it's a good song. It's the third recording that us as fans now have to
look
back on.
I thought it was the second.
They put one on Over It too, which was the first EP they did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I guess the whole story there is like the record company listened to Big Choice all the way through Late.
Mm-hmm.
They thought, there's no singles here. So
did they really?
What about Disconnected?
Yeah.
What about Disconnected? Maybe you should redo that, and we'll put that out because K-Rock's playing it and people are listening to it.
And that's why it was the first single.
That's why it was the first single.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so funny to think about those times. I mean, there's so many other songs on that album.
Oh my God.
We've discussed already that they could have put out as a single because you're a record label. Just do it.
Easily.
And push it.
Velocity would have been a fine single.
People will soak it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I know.
But
to even have a band to like face to face, get to that point where they're on a major label and making singles, quote unquote,
Yeah.
That was a cool time. Cool time.
Yeah.
Hey, no offense, Phil, but there's no way in hell this song's going on this record. Nope.
So Big Choice has on its cover box one of those claw machines in the middle of the field, right?
Mm-hmm.
My questions for you today, I have some trivia for you.
Okay.
Not about claw machines, but about classic arcade games. Some directly from the 90s, some that would have predated the 90s. I'm going to read you some descriptions, and you tell me what the game is. Just interrupt whenever you're ready because you figured it out.
Oh, God.
All right?
Okay. All right.
Here we go.
This might embarrass myself, but
you might.
Let's go.
All right. So this one, and I'm reading you just like the descriptions from Wikipedia for the record.
Okay.
I didn't like sit down and write descriptions of these games. All right. This one is an arcade game and one of the first redemption games, meaning like you scored points. It is played by rolling a ball up an inclined lane and over a ball hop hump, resembling a ski jump that jumps the ball into bullseye rings. The object of the game is to collect as many points as possible by having the ball fall into holes in the rings, which have progressively increasing point values the higher the ring is.
Oh my God, it's got to be Pac-Man. No, it's skee ball.
you genuinely look confused and distressed. I'm like, is he really not getting this?
No, I'm just trying to play it up for you. But I was like, it's got to be skee ball.
It is skee ball. All right, you're 1 for 1.
Okay, woo, good for me.
All right, the next one is an actual video game.
Okay.
It's the first in a series of fighting games created by Sega AM2 and designer Yu Suzuki. The original was released in December of 1993, has had several sequels and spin-offs. It is widely recognized as the first 3D fighting game. Any bells?
3D.
Yep, it's like a side-scroller fighting game that featured characters such as Pai Chan, Hua Chan, Wolf Hawkfield, Akira Yuki, Sarah Bryant. Any bells?
Sorry, no, I don't.
Do you remember Virtua Fighter?
No.
Oh, you have no recollection of Virtua Fighter?
I mean, I remember those kind of games, those fighting games that came out, but no, like I was like Street Fighter or
It was like
Kombat.
Street Fighter, except for like instead of being like a true, I said side scroller, but I was wrong. Instead of being like a side scroller, like it would kind of like move around the whole fucking screen, and like, you know what I mean? Like later fighting games would do.
Like Neo Geo is kind of what came to mind when you were saying that stuff.
Yeah, so instead of just like looking at it from the side, you would like, well, it was 3D, so you'd move around all over the place and fight with them.
Yeah.
It was a pretty fun game. All right, next one. So you're 1 for 2.
Okay.
All right, so these games are a family of games in which a ball is propelled into a specifically designed table where it bounces off various obstacles, scoring points either en route or when it comes to rest. Historically, the board was studded with nails called pins. It had hollows or pockets which scored points if the ball came to rest in them.
I don't know. I mean, it sounds like a pinball game.
It is. Yes, we're talking about pinball. You nailed it.
Yay!
All right, 2 for 3.
I was really confident about skee ball, but pinball, for some reason, really just had me.
Well, I wasn't sure because your face looked equally confused and distressed this time, so I thought you were fucking with me again.
Nope, that was real. All right, I pulled it off.
I was like, pins? These nails called pins? We got 2 more. All right. This one was created in 1975 by a Japanese company called Togo. The typical machine consists of a waist-level cabinet with a play area and display screen and a large, soft mallet. 5 to 8 holes in the play area top are filled with small plastic cartoonish creatures or other characters which pop up at random. Points are scored by, as the name suggests, whacking each one as it appears.
Whack-a-mole.
I'm like, when's he going to get it? I'll say whack. He'll get it.
Yeah, well, as soon as you said whack, you had me. I was like, God damn, what kind of creatures were those? So, like, is it a groundhog? I'm like, no, it's too long. Yeah, whack-a-mole. There we go. All right.
Grisly fucking game when you get down to it. The game is just
Right,
you're murdering fucking
You're murdering
ground squirrels. Like, oh, I don't like this.
cute little vermin. Yeah.
Oh, I don't like it anymore. All right, last one. So far, you're doing pretty good. You're 1 for 4, or 3 for 4.
Oh, well, that's better. Okay.
Yeah, 3 for 4 is pretty good. All right, this is a music video game series produced by Konami, introduced in Japan in 1998 as part of Bemani series, released in North America in 1999. It is the pioneering series of the rhythm and dance genre in video games. Players stand on a dance platform or stage and hit colored arrows laid out in a cross with their feet to musical and visual cues.
Dance us something, or...
Players are judged by how well they time their dance to the patterns presented to them. They're allowed to choose more music to play if they receive a passing score. Dance is in the title.
I've probably done it a couple times.
Here, dance is in the title twice.
Oh my god, twice? Dance to dance. Dance to dance.
Dance Dance Revolution. Remember?
Yes, of course I remember it. I picture it. They had those stupid characters and like left, right, center.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever played that a single time. I was way too self-conscious.
Me
to
neither.
Play that game.
I wasn't coordinated enough.
Yeah, that too. It required a level of coordination that I was not prepared to demonstrate.
I probably would have fallen over in front of perfect strangers. And,
I would have like knocked my front teeth out or something.
Trip over my own damn feet. Yeah.
Derek, thank you for coming for your 4th time on this show. I always love having you on. I love getting to be able to talk to you because you live so far away, so it's nice to be able to do something like this with you periodically, and I hope to get to do it again soon.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for having me again. I mean, yeah, 1,200 miles is a bit of a ways, but
we make it work.
I mean, I love these times, and you know, this isn't the only time we get to catch up, so.
Of course, yeah.
It always adds to the fun.
If this was the only time we hung out, that would be too bad. But it is always nice to be able to see your face and get to talk to you, especially about something that had such a big impact on both of us at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, love you, Trav.
Love you
Thanks
too,
for
brother.
having me again.
Give your family my love and tell everyone I said hello, and I'll talk to you soon, bud.
Will do, bud.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
A big thank you to Fern for coming back on the show and talking big choice with me. He's a lovely man, and it's always a delight to get to talk to him. Maybe you want to come on the show. Listener, you're very welcome to. All you got to do is email me at 9394podcast@gmail.com. Always looking for new guests, or even just a nice letter. I got a nice letter from AJ Belmont. Shout out to him, saying hi and that he appreciates the show. That feeds my fire, man. I appreciate that. Took me a little bit longer than usual to get this episode out. My apologies. It was Thanksgiving, and I took a bit of a holiday and didn't do any podcasting for a little bit, and that was nice. But I'm back at it, and we'll be cranking them out as much as possible. If you want to hear me on other podcasts, you can. You can find me at my movie podcast, Cinema 9, with my friends Mike and Eric, or you can find me on my TV series podcast, Small Screen Sessions, with my friends Steve and Amanda. If you're feeling generous, stop by Spotify or Apple Plus and drop a 5-star rating. That is always appreciated, and a review would be a very special Christmas gift to me. Thank you. And I think that is where we'll leave it for today. I'll see you next time. Take care, y'all. '93 '94, a music podcast with Travis Roy, is a labor of love. It is not and never will be monetized. Please don't sue.